Star Citizen Alpha 3.18.2 is now out to live, and it brings with it a slew of fixes, improvements, and the XenoThreat dynamic event. There is, however, a little bit of unnecessary drama because Alpha 3.18.2 did not have a full wipe that it was expected to. So what do I mean by this? Well, there was only a partial wipe. So Alpha UEC, merits, rec, and reputation, they have been preserved in this patch. That means that ships and items have been reset, they've been wiped, but players were expecting a full wipe of everything because that's what Cloud Imperium had originally said with 3.18.2. Now, some players have also highlighted that there were various exploits that some players made use of to gain potentially a big horde of Alpha UEC, and although a lot of that was addressed in the 3.18.1 patch, the 3.18.2 wipe was supposed to clear up all the other potential money exploits, or at least some of them. Cloud Imperium Games' Xylo responded, "We're not blind to those who took advantage of exploits, and we do have the capabilities to wipe specific individuals. This is actively being looked into. CIG have taken action on individual accounts previously for using exploits or cheats to gather loads of cash, so there is certainly precedent for it." The starting Alpha UEC currently is set to 200k in the patch, which is a good chunk for new players, but if you spend a load of that in 3.18.1, you're not getting an additional 200k in 3.18.2, it seems. Though there are still some people that are annoyed by the lack of reset, or potential players having a bit of a bonus start because of their exploits, or because they spent their Alpha UEC on random stuff, and that's compounded by the lack of an easy character reset option currently. But meh, it's normally a good thing that they don't wipe for the most part. Something, it's an alpha. A lot of people seem to be pretty happy with the lack of wipe, and yeah, I don't really mind. I'm Cloud Imperium's default stance is always they will avoid wipes where possible on the live servers. Will 3.19 have a wipe? Maybe. We don't know. I'm interested to know what people think about that in the comments below. I understand that some people will have just sort of played or not played with the thoughts in mind that, well, there's going to be a wipe for 3.18.2, and now they're a bit annoyed. But it's much better that we have a good working 3.18.2 patch. So what are the new features and sort of bug fixes and optimizations with this latest 3.18.2 live build? Density Manager optimizations. They've updated the density manager values to be more aggressive for removing unneeded entities in the persistent universe to improve server and client performance. So this is the clear up of like salvaged ship bits and lots of trash that you could put on the ground and sort of medical gowns, things like that. Once they get to a certain saturation point, they will sort of get cleaned up by the server, get sort of deleted or whatever, and that is a lot more aggressive now with doing that. They've made further entitlement processing improvements. They've updated login queue time display. Basically, you should notice that you're able to get into the game a lot easier now and not have so many problems logging in and sort of jumping into play. There are a variety of bug fixes. They fixed multiple areas of the prison escape route where players could not vault out of. Ships should no longer sometimes be claimed at another location other than the terminal it's being claimed on. AI victim names should now display correctly in the crime committed against name field. 2 extra Odyssey 2 Alpha undersuits should no longer appear in player inventories. Movement of the player's head should now be smooth with track IR. They fixed frequent pockets of extremely low FPS performance in landing zones and ships. They fixed trees spawning inside rivers. New deal and vantage rental kiosks should no longer be missing. Fugitive recovery missions should no longer result in a crime stat for the bounty hunter. Additional FPS AI that didn't count for the mission should no longer spawn in during Eliminate All and the Caterpillar crash site missions. Spawning ships will no longer cause the requested ship to spawn outside of hangars. The Reclaimer main on elevator control panels should now fully respond to inputs. Salvage lasers should now fully provide RMC when scrapping a hull. Entering or exiting the seat in the Vulture should no longer cause salvage beams to become desynced from their displayed settings. The Antares QED should no longer have low health, and it is easily knocked out once shields are down. Players in a given instance should no longer experience a response latency of up to a dozen also seconds for interactions. They fixed lootable container slots containing no loot when they streamed out and then back in at Security Post Korea. Melting and upgrading a ship while the player is bedlogged in that ship should no longer put the player in a bad state, a 30k error where they can't log in. They fixed the Visit Orison commercial freezing and locking up clients. Loot boxes should no longer become unavailable to other players when a user crashes whilst interacting with it. They fixed the Zelta Prolanade salvage claims not spawning all the cargo boxes for players to retrieve. Combat assistance missions should now correctly progress after enemy ships have been destroyed. They fixed an issue causing players to be unable to scan mining deposits. They fixed non-owning players being able to log out in the prisoner seat of the Hawk, causing it to not retrieve correctly after an insurance claim. They fixed the spawn rates of salvageable entities, which would then duplicate, and basically they were substantially higher than intended. Players should no longer be injured or bleed out if the cockpit seat animations are clipped. Rented ships are no longer going to disappear from the ASOP terminals when claimed. They fixed the failed negotiations disable gravity prompt being unresponsive. Delivery missions should no longer show objective withdrawn upon reaching mission location, and players should now correctly be able to save changes to their ship loadouts. They fixed an additional 10 client and 9 server crashes, as well as a server deadlock. And this puts the game in a relatively good state. Good enough that Cloud Imperium want to run XenoThreat, so it appears XenoThreat is planned to start on the live servers this weekend, with Star Citizen putting out a tweet. Attention pilots! Civilian Defense Force intel is picking up signals suggesting that XenoThreat could arrive in Stanton as soon as tomorrow. Remain on high alert. Which is likely going to be Friday evening for a lot of people, maybe. Expect a much juicier XenoThreat than you've previously played, due to the addition of Alpha 3.18's goodies and a bit of refinement in the 3.18.2 patch. So things like the soft death, the soft destruction system, meaning that the hulls of the ships that you shoot will basically stay there, and you can board them, you can salvage them, you can try and dodge them in combat, and you can obviously shoot them more and they will explode. You are going to see lots of players doing salvage mechanics or boarding those ships while you're doing XenoThreat. There will be reclaimers turning up, there will be vultures turning up, literally going nom nom nom, let's help. Let's help these guys do the XenoThreat mission by clearing up the battlefield. And persistent anti-streaming means that there's going to be a good amount of wrecks to explore, salvage, board, and get in the way of combat. But also there's the much more aggressive cleanup of those. So we'll have to see how that actually plays out in this patch. There's also potentially better AI. There's been lots of improvements to AI and ship waves. Last time I played XenoThreat on the 3.18 PTU, it was actually quite fun, and the AI would constantly send in waves, and there'd be lots to do and fights, and yeah, it was pretty good fun. So expect a more refined XenoThreat experience, because it's been playtested a reasonable amount, and it's like 4th iteration now, maybe 5th. I can't remember. I would almost certainly expect a bit of combat and salvage ship sales going on as well as part of the 3.18.2 release, and XenoThreat running. Cloud Imperium like to do that, so check that out over the weekend. That should probably start later this evening, if it's going to be a thing. There is a known issue with XenoThreat though. Players can't sell all quantity of Zeta Prolanade or Maze from their ship for dynamic events. So apparently selling them in smaller quantities should work. So bear that in mind if you're trying to sell Zeta Prolanade at XenoThreat, then sell it in smaller quantities, that'll work. There are other known issues as well, which I'll quickly go over. So all shops are missing sales inventory for players that purchased a P-52 of the Merlin from Astra Armada at Area 18. Game clients may close without error or crash handlers. ASOP terminals are unusable and fade to black when accessed, although fortunately I have not experienced that yet. Also, some of these known issues may have actually been fixed in this patch, and they just haven't confirmed they've been fixed, so bear that in mind as well. Equipping more than 5 components at once and then trying to save those changes will cause a VMA transaction to fail. Ships can explode from collisions with invisible asteroids. Trams are out of sync. Trams and elevators are jittery. When flying near other ships, you can sometimes hit invisible boxes. Cargo can be invisible in multiple ships after being purchased. When attempting to start a refinery job, players can sometimes receive the error code 20, something went wrong. Security contract evaluations are not re-offered upon failure. That is really annoying if that affects you, so yeah. Combat service beacon progress and ratings are inconsistent on missions. The PTV buggy wheels can sort of clip into geometry and then detach from the vehicle. The Snub Fighter, the P-52 and P-72 with Constellation lacks interaction prompts to enter it, making it unusable. Some ship wreckage erroneously gives no material text and won't let you salvage it, and markers will randomly disappear after quantum travel with no route set. So some of those known issues, as I said, may have well been fixed by now, and the game is on course for a solid Alpha 3.19 release and Fleet Week event towards the end of May. I believe May 20th is when it's starting, hopefully putting the disastrous 3.18 live release behind CIG now. Bugs like the ASOP terminals not working are annoying, as is sort of like long load times for inventories. Things like that do need to be fixed ASAP. But as I said, I think actually a good amount of those known issues are actually solved already in this patch. They just haven't been updated or haven't been confirmed as being solved. But boom, that's it for your Star Citizen Alpha 3.18.2 live update. Are you looking forward to XenoThreat? I do recommend people get involved with that if they can. It will be genuinely great fun. Co-op event, big fleet battles, sort of working together to move cargo from one area to another, then the big fleet battle, there's constantly fighting and cool stuff going on. Remember, the cargo in the first sort of part of XenoThreat is volatile, be it explosion or getting jostled around, sensitive, so it will explode, being quantum sensitive, so if you're going to quantum, it will explode, or time sensitive, so you have to get it back to the Javelin within 24 minutes. I believe that was the count last time. Have you been playing in 3.18.2? What do you think of the live build now? Are you still getting a ton of bugs? Is it still totally broken for you? Are you really happy with this? What did you think of the full wipe not being a full wipe and only being a partial wipe? Are you actually really happy with that? You're like, yes, the less they have to wipe, the better? Or you're like, oh, well, I spent all my money and I just bought a ship and I didn't get my ship, I would have had all this money. What do you think? What happened? What's your story there? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
Little Nord Riding Hood was on her way to Grandma's house. Upon arriving at her house, she called, "Grandma, are you home?" "Yes, dear. I'm on my laptop in bed." Upon seeing her grandma, she exclaimed, "Oh, Grandma, what long fingers you have." "Oh, the better to browse the internet, my dear." "Oh, Grandma, what powerful VPN protection you have." "Oh, the better to browse safely, my dear." "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have." "Oh, the better to enjoy my greater access to the sites I want to visit, my dear." "But seriously, get NordVPN or I will eat you."
The moral of this story is that there are some great deals on NordVPN, and using it can improve your internet privacy, safety, and give you more access to the content you want to see. Get it from the links below. Every month we have a ship giveaway for April 2023. It's for a Drake Vulture, the light salvage ship. This will enable you to take to the stars, find wrecks and strip them, as well as craft some useful items with its onboard dispensary. It comes with lifetime insurance and a Star Citizen game package as well. All you need to get into the game, and all you have to do to be in for a chance of winning that, is comment on any of my videos made during April. Also, please bear in mind that there are scammers about in YouTube. If you see in the comments below someone trying to get you to go onto Telegram, or someone not using my main account, which is the account I'm making videos on now, then they are a scammer pretending to be me or someone else, and just be safe on YouTubes. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider subscribing. You can become a Patreon, you can use the YouTube join button as well. That goes an extra mile to help support us and enables us to produce Star Citizen content every day. And that's down to you guys helping support us, so genuinely, thank you from the bottom of my little BoredGamer heart.